Hello and welcome to iTom with me, Tom, the show that dives into pop cultural happenings and brings you the facts straight up. So in this week's episode, I went to the UK premiere of The Darkest Hour at the Odeon Cinema in London's Leicester Square. So Darkest Hour is the latest film from British director Joe Wright. You know him from films like Atonement, Pride and Prejudice, Hannah and Pan. So yeah, he's kind of a big deal and he's a supremely British dude. It makes perfect sense that he'd link up with the story of the most British of British dudes, Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill, and how the old British bulldog scrapped his way through Parliament, leading wartime Britain to victory over the Third Reich. Spoiler alert here, we did in fact win the war. So the film stars the creamiest of British acting cream. Gary Oldman, under half a ton of makeup, plays Sir Winston Churchill. Kristen Scott Thomas plays his wife, Clementine, with a bunch of other super thesps rounding out the cast. I'm 100% sure awards will fall from the heavens, showering them this awards season. So that's the vibe of The Darkest Hour. Now I'm going to be hitting you with some red carpet interviews from Kay Scott, Winston Churchill's great-grandson, and the master penman who wrote the movie. And a little later on, I'm going to do an iTom review of The Darkest Hour.
I think she knew him, and I think they complemented each other. They were both very troubled people. I mean, they had ups and really mood swings. You know, I think they had both suffered from depression, and they were able to support each other through those things because they understood it. I think she found faith in him because she says it in the film. I want people to love you as I love you, and so she understood the genius.
Is terrific. You know, Gary, Christian, Ben have absolutely created the most amazing film. Our family are always so nervous about these occasions, but this is one occasion where we can really smile because it's caught my great-grandfather's character, his energy, his weaknesses, but also his humour, which is so important.
Yeah, well, what I knew going in was that I wanted to sort of have these three tentpole moments, which were these great speeches. So that was, that was a given. And then I had to sort of find the bridging scenes in between. And so when I did research, I was really surprised to find out that during those periods, Winston was under enormous pressure to do a peace deal with Adolf Hitler. But not only that, he seriously considered it and even took steps to making it possible before he changed his mind. Yeah. And that was just totally news to me because it flew in the face of everything we're told about Winston.
Yeah.
And it also gave an enormous opportunity to show the importance of uncertainty and doubt in a leader. And I really think it's a really important quality that our leaders think it possible they may be wrong.
Yes.
Because I think the world gets in terrible trouble when leaders are incapable of that.
Darkest Hour. Did I like it? Well, I managed to get myself to a screening and gave it a full review. If you'd like to read along with me, my review will be below this video. London, 1940. Nazi Germany is decimating Europe. Britain's ruling Conservative Party leader, Neville Chamberlain, is ousted from power by a parliamentary vote of no confidence. The party's chosen successor, a middle-aged, overweight boozer with a questionable military record, Winston Churchill. The country's darkest hour indeed. In the opening moments of Neville Chamberlain, Ronald Pickup being unceremoniously ousted from the prime ministership because of his lack of nerve in the war effort, it is abundantly clear from the elaborate camera setup, which glides seamlessly from a bird's eye view to a stark close-up of Chamberlain's ashen face, his political career, now in tatters. This is very much a Joe Wright film, and he's flexing all of his considerable cinematic muscles for the awards season. The political fallout is swift and brutal. A new Prime Minister must be chosen without delay. All eyes are on Lord Halifax, Edward Wood, Stephen Delane, but he declines, preferring to bide his time until the time is right and the fate of Britain is certain. In a darkened bedroom, a slumbering Winston Churchill, Gary Oldman, wakes to news of his new appointment as leader of the country. It's everything he could have wanted, but it's 20 years too late. He's an old man, full of self-doubt and a pariah of the Conservative Party, and the knives are already being sharpened behind his back. The Darkest Hour is a war film without the war. The bombast of Enfield rifles spitting lead at Nazis and hellish battlefields is but a small and airily shot footnote in Anthony McLaren's screenplay. The claustrophobic corridors of Whitehall, dimly lit bunkers and empty backrooms is where Churchill and Halifax waged a ferocious and little-known war for the hearts and minds of the British people. It's chamber theatre with a stately and somber wartime backdrop directed by Wright with pace and pin-sharp precision. Gary Oldman's Churchill is a powerhouse. He's truculent, charming and fragile, all in equal measure, and funny, which is surprising given the most enduring image of the porcine-like war hero is of a robust man with a sharp word or two. And yet he was a man cocooned, unable to boil an egg by his own admission, utterly disconnected from his fellow countrymen and women whom he so cherished. He was a fighter, but all too often crippled by his lack of temperance. And yet those closest to him, his secretary Elizabeth Leighton, Lily James, King George V, Ben Mendelsohn, and his wife Clementine Churchill, superbly played by Kristen Scott Thomas with a warmth and quiet strength, all saw the brilliance in the deeply flawed Churchill and his power to command the English language like no other. For all the film's bold acting isn't without a few flaws. In one historically questionable scene, Churchill takes an underground tube and vox pops a carriage full of commuters, almost derailing the film. It feels laughably schmaltzy and a little too left field. But the film regains its footing as Gary Oldman sinks his teeth into Churchill's famous Battle of Britain speech, and it's hard not to feel a swell of patriotism, a country united, which is a far cry from today's Brexit Britain. Ultimately, this is a film about having faith, faith in yourself, faith in people, and the faith to question leadership at the darkest of hours. This is an awards film. Yes, it's that kind of film. For better or worse, it's a rousing portrayal of Churchill's life, and Gary Oldman's performance delivers like a Lancaster bomber with the Bombay doors wide open. So there you have it. The Darkest Hour is playing in cinemas right now. So why not check it out and tell me what you think in the comments below. Finally, I want to give some big shout outs to some real solid dudes. Firstly, to Steph Leek for being my camera lady at the premiere, Charlotte Poole for helping find the media pen, and not forgetting Roobla's own Tom Black for making this all happen. This has been iTom, I've been Tom, and I'll catch up with you next episode.